You know your blood type, right? But the question is, do you know your gut bug type? There are four main blood groups. That's A, B, AB, and O. Your blood group is going to be determined by the genes that you inherit from your parents. So each can either be rhesus positive or rhesus negative, which makes it a total of 8 blood groups. Blood is considered rhesus null if it lacks all the 6 to 1 possible antigens in the rhesus system. This type of blood is so rare, and we call such blood golden blood. This blood type is so rare that only 43 people on Earth have ever been reported to have it. Another type of rare blood is called Bombay. But our main focus today will be the gut microbes. What are they? What are the types? And what important role do they play in terms of disease and our overall health? Welcome to this episode of If You Don't Know, Now You Know.
Swear I won't forget this, why do I regret this? In my mind reckless, thoughts are feeling endless. Sitting up I'm breathless, anxiety's infectious. I feel so defenseless.
The human genome is made up of about 26,000 genes. That's a fairly impressive figure until you consider non-human genes. Each of us carry around a bunch of bacteria, viruses, and other pathogens that live in and on us. Upon trillions and trillions of cells in the human body, did you know that only 1 out of 10 is actually a human cell? The rest belong to the microbes, which colonize every inch of you, from your mouth to the anus, from the head to the skin between your toes. So bacterial cells outnumber human cells. It is estimated that the total number of genes in the collective human microbiome could be around 232 million. The vast majority of microbes, perhaps up to 100 trillion, live in our gut. There are about 1,000 different varieties, 1,000 different species, and between 7,000 to 36,000 strains of these microbes. What scientists are discovering is that these microbes are not only freeloaders or invaders, rather they are crucial facilitators of basic bodily function, from digestion of food and production of vitamins, to fending off of harmful illnesses and recovery from infections. They not only keep you healthy, but also they may help explain differences in individuals' health, why people react differently to the same drug, or why some people develop chronic conditions and others don't. So in this presentation, we are going to look at different bacterial phyla and where they are located. If we decided to look at them in terms of a species, we'll spend 1,000 years discussing about them here. We'll also look at the impact they have on our health and how dysregulation or dysbiosis may lead to certain infections or diseases. For example, inflammatory bowel diseases, cancer, other inflammatory diseases, neurogenic-based diseases or neurodegenerative diseases, and how they are linked to obesity and diabetes. We will also look at probiotics and what importance do probiotics have in our health. So when we say gut microbiota, we are referring to microorganisms including bacteria, fungi, archaea, viruses. Although viruses are not considered as living organisms, but some scientists and microbiologists normally put them into the category of microorganisms or classify them as microorganisms living inside our digestive tract, not only in humans but other animals too and insects. Sometimes the term may be used to refer to them like gut flora, good bugs, or some people may call them good bacteria. Other terms like microbiome, which refer to genetic products or genetic material of these bacteria. So you have a system that allows for the survival and movement of these bacterial cells. So it's like a mutual benefit. Help me and I will in turn extend my hand. So where do we get it? A good question. Let's go back to the process of birth. You will move through the vaginal canal of your mom. The vagina is colonized by trillions of bacterial cells called vaginal microbiome or microbiota. They were discovered by a German gynecologist called Albert Dödelein in 1892. So as you move through the vagina, you are colonized by trillions of bacterial cells. So this is one of your sources. Someone may ask, what about those who are born by cesarean section? You weren't exposed to the same type of bacteria that someone who was born vaginal or vaginal. In modern days, doctors understand this. So a vaginal swab is taken and placed in the child's face and mouth so that the child can become a microbiome positive creature. Otherwise, the immune system wouldn't develop. This is very vital. Another source of this bacteria is through breastfeeding. Your mom passes them to you through breastfeeding. And someone may ask, what about those who are fed on milk formula? Well, they might get some, but studies show that these differences could lead to problems later in life, like immune-related issues and potentially diabetes or obesity-based issues. So these microbes not only go to our gut, but you'll find a huge number on the skin, You'll also find a huge number in the nasal cavity, oral cavity, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, respiratory tract, and genitourinary tract. But our gut holds the highest number, as we had seen earlier. They make up about 90% of our body. Also, the gut has different proportions of these microbes. For example, in the stomach, you'll find about 10 to 100 cells per gram. The stomach has a low pH of about 1 to 3, so not many cells can survive these conditions. If you go to the duodenum, you'll find about 1,000 cells per gram. The jejunum, you'll find about 10,000 cells per gram. And when you go to the ileum, you'll find about 100,000 cells per gram. And lastly, the colon, which has the highest, about 1 trillion cells per gram. So the colon has the highest concentration of gut microbes, or has the highest number. In the entire earth, there are about 50 phyla of bacteria, and human beings have about 10-ish. So out of this, we have 6 to 7 phyla that live within us. And these are actinobacteria, Firmicutes, Proteobacteria, Bacteroidetes, Cyanobacteria, Fusobacteria, and the last one, which is very rare, Microbia. And species of this phyla may include Lactobacillus, Streptomyces, and Mycoplasma. Actually, there are 160 species that fit in this phyla. In total number, they are about 1,000, but averagely 160 fit in this phyla in human beings. Gut microbes are highly variable in different individuals, but the function they play is not the same. Actually, there's a lot of redundancy in the system. If you lose a particular strain, there is another strain that will take over that particular role. And how do they impact us health-wise? It largely depends on how healthy your gut is and how you take care of your gut. Studies have been able to link autism to microbiome, autoimmune diseases to microbiome. There are bacteria that travel to other parts of the body and cause diseases like lupus, rosacea lupus, and even certain cancers. Stress and depression have also been linked to our gut microbiome. About 90% of your serotonin is actually produced in the gut. Inside the gut, you have a mucosal membrane, a protective layer barrier between your bacterial cells, foodway, waste, and interstitial lining. As you all know, the brain engages in a constant communication with the gut. So your gut microbes, or our gut microbes, interplay the brain-gut axis. That's a communication between the central and enteric nervous system, linking the cognitive and the emotional centers with the intestinal function. So our gut microbes influences these interactions. Human studies have shown that stress increases gut permeability, allowing bacterial antigens to cross your bowel barrier, causing inflammation. If it is degraded, it has holes in it or perforated, bacteria can freely interact with your gut lining, which can cause immune response or lead to what we call a leaky gut. So food particles and bacteria may penetrate through the interstitial lining and access the stellar environment or your bloodstream and cause a variety of issues. For example, food allergies. Our gut microbes helps us absorb 10 to 15 extra calories from fiber, but a certain kind of bacteria, or a certain type of bacteria called Firmicutes, harvest more calories from fiber, which could lead to obesity or overweight, which are risk factors for diabetes, especially diabetes type 2. So studies that have been conducted have shown that patients with diabetes, they tend to have more Firmicutes within their gut. The same may also lead to a certain type of insulin resistance in the brain, associated with a variant gene of Alzheimer's called APOE4 gene. This gene seems to interfere with the brain's ability to utilize insulin, so the cells will starve and die, which will progress to Alzheimer's disease. And officially, Alzheimer's has been referred to as diabetes type 3. There are also certain bacteria called sulfur-reducing bacteria. These bacteria harvest sulfur in our diet and form hydrogen sulfide. That's a rotten egg smelling gas that normally escapes when someone farts. So the primary sources of sulfur are amino acids. For example, methionine and cysteine, primarily in animal protein. Hydrogen sulfide is not a good gas, that's why we fart to release it out. It can cause inflammation within our gut lining and lead to conditions like inflammatory bowel disease, for example, ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease. Without forgetting other forms of cancer within our gut lining, other problems can result in case of dysbiosis or decreased variety of these gut microbes. Let's take, for example, H. pylori infection. H. pylori, or Helicobacter pylori bacteria, is considered as a part of our normal gut microbiota. But this bacteria can be potentially harmful and potentially infectious. In H. pylori positive patients, what this bacteria does, it decreases the amount of mucus that the stomach wall produces. It also increases the amount of acid that the stomach wall produces. It does so by changing the regulation of hormones that control secretion of gastric acid. So the stomach will have no mucus to protect itself, and it will start digesting itself. So this will lead to peptic ulcers. So peptic ulcers occur when there is an imbalance between the mucus that line the stomach lining and the amount of gastric acid in the stomach. Guys, I felt sick along the way, and I'm taking some medication, and I think I'm getting better. You can see my right cheek is somehow still swollen. Don't mind my right cheek. Okay, let's proceed. H. pylori is also responsible for certain adenocarcinomas in the stomach or multi-tumors. It has been found that people who are H. pylori positive, they have a high number of proteobacteria, which means that if you are H. pylori positive, the stomach or your gut diversity is low. Compared to people who are H. pylori negative, they have a diverse stomach. For example, you find the majority of the bacteria in the stomach will be actinobacteria, then Firmicutes, then Proteobacteria, and then Bacteroidetes. Thus, a diverse stomach. Decreased diversity increases the risk for many disease states. I had mentioned some of them earlier, but no harm in repeating them. Obesity, diabetes, cancers, certain neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's disease, neuroinflammatory diseases like multiple sclerosis, and so on. Let's now look at the positive side of these bacteria. They have a positive role. They are vital for our survival. You remember when I said the majority of these bacteria are located in the colon, that's the large intestine. The colon serves as a site for absorption of water. The large number of bacteria absorb and produce important metabolic products for us to use and utilize. For example, they help us produce vitamins and minerals. Example for vitamins that are produced by colonic bacteria are vitamin K and vitamin B12. Vitamin B12 helps to keep the body's nerve and blood cells healthy and also helps in making DNA, the genetic material in all cells. Vitamin B12 also helps to prevent a certain type of anemia called megaloblastic anemia that makes people pale and weak. This type of anemia, red blood cells grow abnormally. On the other hand, vitamin K, the body needs it for blood clotting and wound healing. There's also an evidence that vitamin K helps to keep the bones healthy. In human beings, fermented products are absorbed in the colon. Both the small bowel and colonal mucosa readily absorb unionized short-chain fatty acids. This may include acetate, propionate, and butyrate, which are the most common or the three most common short-chain fatty acids. So they are called short-chain fatty acids because they contain 1 to 6 carbons within their chain. So they play an important role in absorption and inflammation, and also in indigestion, which is also called dyspepsia. They play a number of different roles. So if there's a dysbiosis or dysregulation or lack of diversity, it means that you are more susceptible to different forms of diseases. Just as a reminder, I had earlier said that these gut microbes helps us obtain 10 to 15% extra calories from fiber. Without gut microbes, we wouldn't get anything from fiber because human beings cannot digest fiber. So they use fiber to produce butyrate, which is a fuel source for our intestinal cells to produce mucin, which helps repair our intestinal lining, our mucosal membrane, and also helps in reducing or regulating inflammation. Serotonin, a hormone that is known to promote feelings, including happiness and pleasure. Although its manufacture is in the brain, where it performs its primary function, some 90% supply of serotonin was found in the digestive tract. That's why people with unhealthy gut, you'll find them having episodes of depression, anxiety, mood swings, sadness. And guess who helps us produce this serotonin within our gut? You guessed it right, gut microbes. There is a theory that says that proteobacteria are the bad guys, or the bad bacteria. To be honest, as we have seen, these bacteria can neither be good or bad. So if you want them to impact you positively, it depends on how you take care of them. So a healthy gut means healthy gut microbes. It's like a mutual benefit, as I had said earlier. Take care of me and I will in turn take care of you. Many of the things that we do in our lives are completely lethal to our gut microbes. In the middle of what we do or eat are our gut microbes. They are directly linked to our genetic material, so they can influence how we respond or react to certain things in the environment and how they can keep us healthy or not. Let's take, for example, abuse of antibiotics. You taking antibiotics to kill or limit infectious bacteria or the bad bacteria. But remember, they not only kill the bad bacteria, they kill all sorts of bacteria or any kind of bacteria, which means our gut bacteria or gut microbes won't be spared. So we advise you, in case you are on antibiotic prophylaxis, take along with foods that will help restore balance within your gut. For example, yogurt, which contains probiotics. Unhealthy dieting has become part of our norm. We won't get healthy starch from chips, short-chain fatty acids, amino acids like tryptophan or tyrosine. We won't get enough nutrients from refined carbs and sugars. Stress affects our gut as well, as we have seen that the brain engages in constant communication with the gut. Our gut microbiome interplays the brain-gut axis. So the more stressed you are, the more likely that you are going to damage your gut microbiome. We live in a septic society. The antimicrobial components in our food have contributed to dysbiosis. So what can we do to improve our gut health? We need to consider our diet. Eat your vegetables, eat your legumes, whole grains. Eat foods rich in probiotics that will help foster the multiplication of the good bacteria in our gut. Eat fermented dairy products or cultured dairy products like sauerkraut or kimchi. Consider healthy oils, for example, Mediterranean olive oils, nut oils, avocados, high-quality proteins for bone growth. Make natural food part of your daily diet. They also need sleep. They have day and night. So if you don't sleep, they won't sleep. Also, they also need exercise. Exercise helps promote healthy growth of gut microbes. Stress managing exercise like breathing exercises and meditation. Also consider target supplementation. If there are certain things that your body lacks, you need to supplement. Our microbiota make up about 90% of what we are. So love them. Put them on a good diet. Get them enough sleep, exercise, and both of you will be happy. So take care of your gut microbiome and they will in turn take care of you.